Just think back to the year 2003. At that time, whatever phones were available in the market had one main purpose: making calls and sending SMS messages. The screens were small, black and white displays were quite common, and if someone happened to own a camera phone, that was considered a major luxury. But then came the Nokia 6600. Priced at around 25,000 Indian rupees, this phone came with a rounded design, a color display, a camera, a memory card slot, Bluetooth, and the Symbian OS. At that time, having all these features in a single phone was a huge deal. And yes, at a time when VGA cameras were common, when the Nokia 6600 introduced a 0.3 megapixel camera, it felt like we had gotten our hands on something extraordinary. Transferring songs via Bluetooth, sending photos, and sharing contacts, all of this became normal with the Nokia 6600. And for the first time, people felt, this is what a smartphone should feel like. But then the question arises. How did a phone that was once everyone's dream suddenly disappear? Today, we're going to explore everything in this detailed case study of the Nokia 6600. So, guys, around the year 2000, there was one name that dominated the mobile market: Nokia. The Nokia 3310 was known for its durability, while the Nokia 1100 could be seen in almost everyone's hands. These phones were reliable, affordable, and lasted for years. But they weren't smart. They had no camera, no apps, and no multimedia capabilities. However, alongside these mainstream phones, Nokia had already been experimenting with more advanced devices for high-end users. For example, in 2001, the company introduced its Communicator series, which was specifically aimed at business users. These phones came with bulky bodies, larger screens, and email support. Then, in 2002, Nokia introduced the 7650, which brought a camera and Symbian OS to the table for the first time. But the problem was that the phone was quite high-end. It wasn't meant for the average user, so its customer base remained relatively limited. Meanwhile, competition was also increasing. Brands like Sony Ericsson and Siemens were experimenting with camera phones and smart features. At the same time, users were no longer satisfied with just good battery life and durability. Gradually, the demand for features like color screens, ringtones, wallpapers, cameras, and basic internet connectivity started increasing. And this is where Nokia faced a clear problem. The company already had phones for the mass market and business-focused phones, but there was a gap in the middle. There was one type of phone missing, something that looked professional, excited tech enthusiasts, but wasn't too complicated for normal users. Nokia understood that if it didn't take action now, its leadership could be at risk. And that's when Nokia decided to build a phone that wouldn't just make calls or send SMS messages, but could also do some things that felt more like a computer. This project was internally given the codename Calimero. The goal was very clear: replace phones like the 6310i, which were popular business devices, but do it in a completely new way. There was no doubt that the 6310i was a solid phone for its time. It was reliable and had excellent battery life, which made it a favorite among corporate users. But Nokia wanted its next flagship phone to be more than just an office device. It wanted to offer entertainment, a camera, apps, and much more. All in one phone. And that's where the first big question came up: what would this phone actually look like? Because other brands were moving toward completely different designs. For example, the Siemens SX1 had its keyboard placed along the sides, while the Sony Ericsson P800 came with a touchscreen. But Nokia deliberately chose not to take such an unconventional approach. The company believed that if the phone was too experimental, average users might feel uncomfortable using it. That's why Nokia chose a classic keypad layout for this phone, with a joystick in the center to make navigation easy. The idea was that people shouldn't have to learn how to use the phone from scratch before they could actually start using it. There was also a lot of thought put into the phone's shape. The final design wasn't slim. Instead, it was quite rounded and relatively heavy. The reason for making it bulky was simple. Nokia needed enough space inside for the camera module, a larger screen, a memory card slot, and a strong battery. Although the phone was definitely bulky, Nokia still tried to make it comfortable to hold in the hand. On the software side, Nokia chose Symbian OS Series 60, which at the time was considered one of the most advanced platforms in the smartphone category. And this was the decision that truly set the phone apart from a regular mobile phone. Because of this OS, the phone could not only multitask, but it could also install third-party apps, which was a big deal at the time. At the same time, Nokia engineers kept the UI as simple as possible so that even someone with limited technical knowledge could use the phone comfortably. And when all these elements came together one by one, the result was a product that was ready to make a huge impact as soon as it launched. Finally, on June 16, 2003, as soon as the first glimpse of the Nokia 6600 was shown to the public, the mobile phone market started buzzing. A color screen, camera, Bluetooth, memory card support, and Symbian OS, all of these features in a single phone was a remarkable thing at the time. In India, the Nokia 6600 was priced at around 25,000 Indian rupees. And if we account for inflation, that amount would be comparable to what you might spend today on a Samsung Ultra or an iPhone Pro Max series. However, spending that much money on a phone was almost unimaginable back then because most people were using phones costing somewhere between 3,000 Indian rupees and 5,000 Indian rupees. That's why many people initially felt that the phone was far too expensive, and its design also looked a little strange. But within the first few weeks of the launch, one thing became clear: people who were actually using the phone were experiencing something on a completely different level. The camera quality was mind-blowing for its time. The multimedia features felt completely new, and the concept of installing apps on a phone was exciting for users. For business users, features like email and a calendar were extremely useful, while younger users were attracted to Bluetooth and games. Now, the initial reviews of the phone were definitely mixed, but the overall tone was positive. And gradually, the sales numbers made the story even clearer. Within just a few months of its launch, the Nokia 6600 reached the million-unit sales category, which was a huge achievement for a camera phone at the time. This was a clear signal that the market was willing to see value despite the high price, and the phone was gradually moving from being a luxury item to becoming a genuinely useful product. Despite having a 104 MHz processor and just 6 MB of internal storage, the fact that multitasking was possible on the phone was itself a major achievement at the time. By the way, that 6 MB of internal storage could also be expanded using MMC cards of up to 2 GB. The Nokia 6600 helped create a habit among people of thinking that every moment could be captured on camera, a habit that later became the foundation of smartphone culture. Apart from that, the multimedia features made the phone even more popular. Features such as MP3 playback, short video recording, and video playback felt almost futuristic at the time. And this is where people's perception of the phone began to change. The phone that initially seemed expensive and a little strange-looking was gradually being seen as a powerful and future-ready device. At the same time, its connectivity features also helped turn the phone into a more social device. People used to share ringtones, songs, and photos through Bluetooth and infrared. The overall build quality was so solid that simply holding the phone in your hand gave you the feeling that it would last for years. And guys, the impact of all these features was that the Nokia 6600 stopped being just a device, it became a habit. Once users switched to this phone, regular phones started feeling boring to them. The Nokia 6600 had raised the level of expectations so much that the other phones in the market had started to look dull in comparison. Between 2004 and 2005, its popularity was at its peak. At that time, either everyone was using a Nokia 6600, or they were imagining it as their next phone. Despite its high price, the Nokia 6600 eventually reached total worldwide sales of around 150 million units. For a premium category phone at the time, that number was far beyond what most people could have imagined. But history tells us that when a product reaches its peak, its biggest challenge is often already taking shape. And the same thing was about to happen with the Nokia 6600. When the Nokia 6600 was at its peak, everything looked perfect from the outside. But behind the scenes, the market was changing very rapidly. Basically, that's how technology works. Something that feels revolutionary today can start feeling completely normal after just a short period of time. The same thing happened with the Nokia 6600. The biggest turning point came when Nokia itself started introducing newer models. For example, by the end of 2004, the Nokia 6630 had entered the market. It looked somewhat similar to the 6600, but internally, it was much more powerful. Features like 3G network support, faster data speeds, and a 1.3 megapixel camera sent a clear message: this was the future. In other words, the features that once felt premium on the 6600 were now gradually becoming basic expectations. After that, Nokia launched models like the 7610, which offered improved camera quality and a more refined design. Then came the 6680, which added features such as a front-facing camera and video calling. For customers, the choice was becoming simpler. If they waited a little longer or spent a little more money, they could get a better phone. And guys, Nokia wasn't the only company in the race. Other brands were competing as well. Phones like the Motorola Razr V3, with their ultra-slim designs, completely changed people's expectations around phone design. While the Nokia 6600 was starting to look bulky, these newer phones looked slim, flashy, and fashion-friendly. At the same time, Sony Ericsson's camera-focused phones were also starting to grab the market's attention. So suddenly, the competition was no longer just about features. It had also become about lifestyle and looks. On the other hand, user expectations had also shifted with time. The VGA camera that people once considered magical was now starting to feel weak. Demand for faster internet, better displays, and improved multimedia experiences was continuously increasing. As a result, the hardware of the Nokia 6600, which had seemed cutting-edge when it launched, was now starting to feel outdated. And this is where demand for the phone gradually began to decline. Now, whenever people started planning to buy their next phone, newer models were increasingly coming to mind. The truth is, the Nokia 6600 didn't really fail, it was replaced. Phones like the Nokia 6630, 6680, and later the N series were launched in the market. They were faster, more feature-rich, and more future-ready. The Nokia 6600 was launched in 2003, and for a smartphone of that era, it remained relevant for a remarkably long period, around 5 years. However, Nokia didn't suddenly discontinue the model. Its price was gradually reduced, allowing it to remain an option for budget-conscious users. But eventually, around 2008, the phone was officially discontinued. In other words, the Nokia 6600 didn't make any major mistake. There was no scandal, no technical disaster. Technology was simply moving so fast that the 6600 was eventually left behind in the race. But the biggest achievement of the Nokia 6600 was that it helped lay the foundation for the smartphone ecosystem that we consider normal today. That's why the downfall of the Nokia 6600 isn't really a failure story. It's a transition story. It was a phone that completed its job and eventually stepped off the stage. Even today, when someone mentions the Nokia 6600, it doesn't just remind us of an old phone, it reminds us of an entire era. Technically, the phone may be irrelevant today, but emotionally, it isn't. No matter how many powerful phones come out today, the aura of the Nokia 6600 can never truly be recreated. It was a legend. And legends are never replaced. They simply become immortal in our memories.